Welcome back to the case study of Vanitas anime review, episode number 4. This is the fourth episode of the series, Ball Masquerade, Night of Mocking Mask. This episode does not pick up where last episode left off. Well, basically this episode, in case you're curious, covers pretty much the rest of chapter 6, pages 13 and 33, the entirety of chapter 7, and the first 25 out of 51 pages. Basically half a chapter. Yeah, that's how much they cover for this one. Yeah, I was surprised to figure that, that's how long the chapter is. Damn. It's freaking long. Now, in the case of what they did here, they started off with, get this, the opening, few pages of chapter 7 first. And then they picked up where they left off. Where basically we have a flashback of Noe with his mentor, who happens to be Dominique's grandfather. Where basically he just sitting on his lap, reading a book, talking about Vanitas, and not much else there to talk about. And then, of course, we cut back to present day. Of course, Noe pointed out to Dominique that, yeah, this is a very large carriage, where she just takes off her coat casually. And, of course, Noah's like, why don't you just wait outside while you change? And it's just me, or she's got big butt. Yeah. And then, of course, she is already down to her shirt. They chat for a bit about, well, of course, Vanitas. And then, of course, she proceeds to offer him to drink her blood. Yes. And, of course, before that, she took off the collar on his neck in order to change his clothes. And, of course, Vanitas is there because, well, no one needs him. He needs him, obviously. So, they go to the party. And, of course, they dance away. And, of course, Vanitas himself basically is just trying to be very polite to a few little kids by giving one of the little girls them a flower. What a gentleman he is. Just pulls thing out of nowhere. And of course, another pulls what we doing, just entertaining people. And then of course, well, then Dominique basically takes him to the room. Of course, no one's supposed to fall on, but basically he's distracted by a couple of automatons. Because he's quite surprised to see human technology in the world of vampires, because vampires have rejected human technology. Yes. Now, this, of course, is steampunk. Of course, they have steampunk robots. Of course. And, of course, well, Dominique tells Vanitas she has no problem with him basically being with Noe. As long as it doesn't hurt him, and the fact that, well, she'll assist him, no problem. Excuse me. She, of course, is saying this while throwing a bunch of knives at him. Also, when they get, I should point out with that scene, when Noe bites her, they actually show her unbuttoning her shirt. In the manga, they don't really show her pulling down part of the top of her shirt. In the anime, they do, which that's kind of reverse of what sometimes they do for this. They actually don't really show that. Here, apparently, this anime is not afraid to have the female characters show off some skin. Then, of course, right after Vanitas basically is, well, told by Dominique to help him, then he proceeds to make a fool of himself by basically publicly announcing himself to a large group of vampires that he is Vanitas, and the fact he's the holder of the Book of Vanitas, and, well, he wants to help the vampires, and, and, of course, explain, of course, his little mark on his arm, which, of course, Noe didn't know he had it, probably because they wear long sleeves. And, of course, Noe himself basically is distracted by the automatons. And then he runs into Lucius, a character you just saw last episode. Of course, Lucius drags because he says he's a friend of his, even though they're not really friends. They chat for a bit, and then, of course, Vanitas basically is stopped by. Well, he's about to do something, and all of a sudden they're about to attack him because, well, Lucius's sister shows up. I gotta say, they don't really show her face for some reason. Well, and they show her robot next to her, which actually has a minor change to the manga, because they don't show her one of the steampunk robots standing next to her. In the manga, they don't show it all. They show off in her core, not directly next to her, which I don't mind that change. It's perfectly fine. Then, of course, the chandelier he's on, which basically has metal skulls on it, is knocked down. He, of course, is dragged away by Genie. Yes, Genie. Who he has Vanitas apparently fallen for. And, of course, she's seen like there's a possibility she might be a curse. She might be a curse bearer. And then, of course, while he's outside with her, various people break out in curses. Why? Because the Charlatan Parade is there. Oh, yes, they're actually there. We actually see them. And, of course, Vanitas is chatting with, of course, Genie for a bit. And, of course, proceeds to says, hey, want to drink my blood? Of course, tells her, yeah, I've fallen for you. Well, I would actually agree with him. Basically, falling for Genie probably be a good idea. Because especially Genie's hot. Like, wow, this woman is such a beautiful woman. Like, what guy would not fall for her? And then, of course, he proceeds to have her basically bite him and, of course, drink his blood. He, of course, has got no problem with it, despite the fact he's human. Yep. And, of course, Noe does his best because, of course, Lucius's bodyguard is busy drinking his partner's blood. He's like, okay, because he's a strong vampire. He proceeds to protect Lucius from the charlatans. And then he sees the main charlatan, which is black gooped up, and that's where the episode ends. I gotta say, damn good episode. We're getting interesting here, and I can't wait for the very next episode. Airing next week. Yep. So yeah, that's a particular review. Stay tuned for my review for Case Closed, which I'm gonna do it anyways. I'm just gonna do it despite how kind of late it's getting. I'm gonna get it done tonight. Yes. And then tomorrow, expect to see reviews for Eden Zero. Combatants will be dispatched. My Hero Academia, One Piece, and Bard to roughly 5. Okay? Next video. Bye.